Yeehaw!
Who's ready for a debate? Can I type one in chat if you're ready for a debate?
We're gonna debate. It's
I'm
debate
sorry,
time.
All right, people be ready for that debate. Here's the plan.
Hold on.
Leftist Lemon, join Q. Yep, you already know what to do. Actually, I'm gonna go into Minecraft.
I don't want to get kicked.
I don't want to get.
All right.
Hello. All right. Hold on. I'm just setting up. You're cool.
How you doing, my friend?
I am good. How are you? All right. Hold on.
I'm doing all right. Just chilling, just streaming, having a good time.
Okay. Sounds good. Hold on. I'm gonna share the stream up in my Discord real quick, and then.
All right. Are you streaming too?
Yeah, if that's cool with you, right?
Yeah, it's fine. I don't mind. I'm just bringing up my Twitter because I got some things here involving our debate that I think is important. Okay. So you want to debate about Wokescolds, right?
Yes. Yeah, just 1 second. Give me. All right. I think I am ready. Okay.
All right.
So,
I'll let you start.
Well, I think that in order for this debate to work well, I'm gonna ask you a few questions. So, first off, can you define what you mean by Wokescold?
Yes. Personally, my definition of Wokescold is somebody who is on the left who attacks other members of the left for not being pure enough or not acting in a way that they see as acceptable. And generally, what really makes them a Wokescold is their actions. So this can range anywhere from on the mild side, just kind of shit talking them on Twitter, to the extreme side, which is literally mass reporting people's Twitter accounts, spreading misinformation about them in order to keep certain leftist figures from growing. I've experienced this twice. I've been banned off Twitter because of it. They mass reported me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also had...
Wasn't the first time because of Nazis, and then the second time was Wokescolds?
Just recently I got banned from Wokescolds. Did I say both times?
Yeah, well, you said 2 times, I thought, but it's not a big difference. It's whatever.
Okay, yeah, sorry. No, I got banned just recently on my account. It had almost 1,000 followers because I guess it was I don't know if it was this person themselves, so I'm not going to make the blame, but it was definitely fans of them. That is a pretty well-known Wokescold on Twitter that thinks Vosh is a rapist and accuses me of being an alt-right grifter, and their fans went and mass reported me. So I got banned.
All right. So can you so I can deconstruct your arguments or maybe make some points, give me your main criticism of what you said were Wokescolds. My bad.
Well, I have one more part of my definition for Wokescold I want to go over. And another big one is not wanting the left to grow and to gatekeep being a leftist. Something I've noticed a lot with the accounts that end up doing this Wokescold shit, I see almost no difference between the way they act and the way that Nazis on Twitter act, at least in how they react to BreadTube. One of them that was mass reporting me on my old account, I went and I looked at their account because they were bragging about it on Twitter afterwards, and before they blocked me, I was able to see they had anti-BreadTube in their bio, and they tweet about how much they hate BreadTube all the time. So it's just seems like they don't really want the left growing. So I think that's another big part of what I consider a Wokescold to be.
Okay, sounds good. So do you strong arm you to this definition? Someone who critiques other people on the left for not being pure enough, and
no, not critique. I should clarify. Critique I consider completely different. I'm talking slander or attack, harass, I should say.
Okay. So harasses other people for not being pure enough on the left. Which could be mild or serious, and then they also gatekeep to a certain extent on the left. Okay, that's.
I wouldn't even say to a certain extent. Yeah. Okay, more or less, yeah.
So, can you give me your main criticisms of Wokescolds and just why you think they're bad?
Okay, so I think the number one reason they're bad is that they really don't like the left growing and they don't like the left spreading. So my goal as a YouTuber, as what I do, is to grow the left. I try to spread leftist rhetoric. I try to bring people out of the alt-right rabbit hole and bring them to leftism. That's what I'm trying to do. That's why I try to appeal to them. That's why I try to teach them, you know. And so if there are people out there who don't want the left to grow, who want the left to stay small, something that they can feel special for being a part of, and they, go out of their way to spread lies or mass report and get banned leftist figures that help grow the left, then that seems very, very bad to me. And one of the biggest wake-up calls for me, because early on I didn't care much about Wokescolds, I wasn't affected by them. One of the biggest wake-up calls for me was when I was browsing one of the threads about me and Vosh, and about how shitty BreadTube is on a Nazi site. And they were talking about the same accounts who were shitting on me and Vosh on Twitter, and I fucking love these people. It feels good to be proven right. So a lot of these alt-righters and these Nazi type people, they see the Wokescolds as an affirmation of their beliefs. If you're taught as you're falling down this rabbit hole that the left are a bunch of prude, purity testing purists, and that who can't meme and who can't joke and who take everything too seriously, and then even as you're trying to get out of that, or even if you're just in there and you see these people that are basically exactly what the stereotype you've been taught of exists, you're just going to believe what you've already been taught more. See that as a problem.
Okay. Is this just your main point, or do you have any other ones that might be pretty important for why you don't like Wokescolds?
I mean, I have others. I mean, I don't like them spreading lies about certain BreadTubers. I mean, Bad and Pinata was literally saying that Vosh sexually assaulted somebody, which is definitionally untrue. And there are people who literally believe Vosh is a rapist, not because they're lying about him, but because they've heard these Wokescold types lying about Vosh. And there's only two people I found online who do this: the Nazis, who hate Vosh because he's a leftist and make shit up about him and say he's a rapist, and the Wokescolds who hate him and make shit up about him and say he's a rapist to spread misinformation.
Okay. Okay. So, let's see. We'll start with your definition. I don't think I necessarily disagree with your definition. I think that for the most part, this definition would probably be accurate, but I don't think this is how it is always used. For example, I think people use the Wokescold and they necessarily conflate it to people who are criticizing people for not acting a certain way, or acting problematic in a certain sense. For example, hold on, let me give an example. When Vosh, right, this isn't necessarily applicable to you, right, but when Vosh uses ableist rhetoric, or just things that would be hostile to people with disabilities in general, do you have or is this ableist for me to be talking about you? Are you autistic? Stuff along the lines of that. Are you mentally ill? Shit like that, that's probably not good, and that's not necessarily bringing people into the left, right? And it's probably, if anything, causing or creating a hostile environment to people who actually have disabilities, right? And if that's necessary to bring people into the left, I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily good. Also, you'd have to look at the cost benefit ratio. It's probably not on the higher side. But that being said, also, I think there's other ways that you could be edgy to bring these people to the left either way, right? You saying that necessarily doesn't isn't the only way that you can necessarily access these people who are in what you would consider to be reactionary, right-wing people. So that's an example where I think that people would consider that Wokescolding, or some people that are on the Vosh, for example, would call that Wokescolding, and I don't think that's necessarily Wokescolding, because I think that's actually fair criticism, right? We can agree to disagree on that though, but yeah, that's what I'd say on that definition. And then you also said that there's no difference between the way that Wokescolds and Nazis act, correct?
A lot of the time, not always. Wokescolds obviously don't, spread anti-Semitic and racist propaganda, but in regards to how they treat who they view as their political opponents, they act very similar in their methods.
Okay, so would you agree that Wokescolds are probably gonna exist regardless?
Yeah, I mean, I've had people that used to be Wokescolds in my community that have kind of been pulled out of it and realized that it's kind of bad for the left. So And I wanted to go over something else that you brought up, but I guess I can go over this first. A good example is Cine. Probably a lot of you know who Cine is. My second in command. They were like a centrist gamer bro, but when I first got into politics, and then they as I got into politics, at first they kind of pushed back because they liked my gaming stuff, but then they sort of got into politics too. And as I kind of evolved politically and started doing politics as well, they became a leftist, and then got into territory that I would consider Wokescoldy. And that changed when, and this is actually a pretty funny story. I like to bring this up whenever I talk about this. I was on Twitter and I was scrolling through my mentions, and I see this this tweet that was like, if you're a bread tuber and you don't have your pronouns in your bio, then you should delete your channel and refund all of your donation money. You're not a real ally. And I was like, what? And so I responded to it just like, I mean, I do a lot for the left, and I do a lot for like trans people and all that. That doesn't really make any sense. And I also said I don't have a Patreon. Bad take. And they said, fuck you, stop being friends with Vosh, you rape apologist. It was something like that. Now, Cine joined this thread after a little while and started saying like, hey, I don't fully agree that like Pig is the rape apologist, but maybe it's a good point that maybe you should put your pronouns in your bio. It was like on the side of this Wokescold person. But Cine made the mistake of being a little too kind to me, and the Wokescold interpreted this. Mind you, this was like public on Twitter on my old Twitter account, the one that got banned.
I know what you're talking about.
So Cine was a little too nice to me in their response, despite the fact that they were on their side. They were on the side of the Wokescold here, and the Wokescold turned on Cine and started shitting on Cine and accusing Cine of harassing them. Mind you, no interpretation of this could be Cine harassing them. They were literally on this person's side. It was actually hilarious. And so now Cine has a reputation among these people as being like harassing butt buddy, I guess. Oh, yeah. And it's hilarious. But like, so Cine was one of these people, or considered himself to be one of these people.
Yeah.
And he's kind of gotten out of that. So while I do think these people will always exist, I think that if you show them that what they're doing is extremely unproductive and even harmful to the left, and they are at least somewhat good faith and they want the left to grow, then I honestly think you can kind of change a lot of their minds. Just like you can change the minds of Nazis and alt-righters and bring them to the left if you do it right.
Yeah. Okay. So on this point, I think I have about like three or so arguments I think I'm going to make. So first of all, since you know and you said that Wokescolds are going to exist always for like to a certain extent, right? Then I think that as long as they're not making ridiculous demands, like I think you should concede to them at points where you can, right? Because if you agree that they're going to exist to a certain point, then this means that like people like Nazis who can play the rhetoric game all day makes them look more presentable. That's my first argument. Essentially, I think that if you are going to be like doing this, right, you're going to be going against the Wokescolds. I think that gives Nazis an opportunity to where they can make themselves look more politically presentable to people in general. Like, for example, you know, in like your huge like outlash in the community where there was like a bunch of infighting and stuff, I think we wouldn't disagree that Flamenco benefited off that like a shit ton by making himself look a lot more presentable, right? I don't think we disagree. And then another argument I would make is that the logical conclusion of what you're advocating for would seem to be that no matter what, it's good to bring over people to the left. So this makes me raise the question, do you think that a Nazball YouTube creator would be good because it's making fascists convert to be like being like socialist to a certain extent?
No, I don't consider Nazbuls to be leftist, particularly because they don't care. They don't care about minority groups. They're racist. They're generally anti-Semitic. Obviously, they're basically Nazis, but they're socialists. They are not on the left. But yeah, any group that you listed as like, oh, these are bad people who hold some leftist beliefs, those aren't on the left. That's not what I'm trying to bring people over to. And what I'm actually advocating for is I'm not saying that you should just bring anyone over to the left. What I advocate for when I kind of shit talk the Wokescolds is mostly saying don't engage with them. Whatever you do, like the most I engage with them these days is like I drop like the board Pepe emote. If you engage with them, they don't have any good faith criticism. So like here's like the difference actually. So when I made my new Twitter account, I talked about what I had originally gotten Wokescolded for, and that was not having my pronouns in my bio. Now, a friend of one of these particular Wokescolds is like, why don't you have your pronouns in your bio? And I was like, well, this is my business account, and I have it filled up with a bunch. Like, I'll bring up my Twitter right now. I have my Twitter bio filled up to the character limit. I have leftist, YouTube, Switch streamer, my sub count, my YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, my website. My fucking bio is full. I can't type anything else. And they said, oh, well, you can actually put it in your location. So I did it. Like I had no objection to putting my pronouns in my bio. But the original person, the person who wanted to Wokescold me, never considered that, like, hey, I can't. My bio is full as like an actual argument. I said, hey, I can't. My bio is full. They never suggested put it in your location or anything like that. They just said, oh yeah, no, you're a piece of shit. You're not a good ally.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really argued in good faith.
Yeah, I disagree with like them on that point, right? I think that, I mean, if you want to put your pronouns in your bio, then you should. If you don't want to, then you don't necessarily have to. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think we should make this conversation necessarily about that one like this one interaction, because I don't think like that's necessarily representative of whole when people creators are like saying Wokescold in general. Like I don't think this one interaction is necessarily representing.
I mean, I can give like a shit ton of examples. I mean, I have a ton that I've gone through. Like, if you look, most of them have me blocked now. But if you want, you can look. Here's what I actually encourage you to do. Go to there are even like massive creators who do this. Just go to Twitter, look up Pig Puncher in the search bar, all one word or with a space if you want. Go to latest. Now they don't show up for me as much because they all have me blocked. But if you want to just like look through here, you can see what I'm talking about here. Now, I'm not just talking about like random nobodies on Twitter. There are like pretty big figures who do this as well. Bad and Pinata is a good example. Literally accused Vosh of being a sexual, having done sexual assault, which is like, and when I confronted him and was like, actually, Vosh sexually harassed a girl through Discord DMs. He didn't sexually assault anyone. He said, stop getting caught up on semantics. It doesn't matter, and blocked me. Like, that's pretty fucking bad faith. Another good example is Lily Orchard. She made a video where she literally accuses ContraPoints of being anti-Semitic because of her anti-capitalism videos. There are the people I'm talking about aren't just people who are concerned about people using certain words. Like if someone takes issue with Vosh using ableist slurs or making jokes that could possibly have like bad outcomes for certain people, I understand that criticism. You can make that criticism and have it be in good faith. You can confront him about that. The problem is when you accuse him of actually being an ableist who hates disabled people, or even just making things up going off of that. Like there are people who think Vosh is a transphobe. You cannot believe Vosh is a transphobe if you watch his content. And most of these people even admit that they don't watch Vosh's content, but they still think he's a transphobe anyway because of a 5-second clip taken out of context they saw. Now, I will admit that as a public figure, you do have to be careful, because if someone can clip you out of context saying something harmful, that can have bad effects. But even still, if you do the type of content that me or Vosh or Destiny, just this live streamed content where we talk nonstop for hours on end, you're going to make mistakes, and it is literally impossible not to say something that could be clipped out of context to come out bad.
Yeah.
Now, my overall point is, if someone wants to, well, no, listen, like Lily Orchard does have fans. She has 100,000 subs. Sorry. So my argument here is, if you want to criticize me or Vosh or anybody in BreadTube and have it be actual criticisms that you can make, that's one thing, as long as they're in good faith and they're like genuine criticisms. But if they're like made up of lies and they're made in bad faith, then I'm going to have a problem.
Okay, which I think is fair, but right, I don't think that's like necessarily how people are using the word Wokescold. For example, a lot of people like criticize Contra for like takes on the fuck, I don't remember the exact takes, but it was stuff that would like probably cause harm to non-binary folks.
Let me interrupt for a second. I know, I agree with that. A lot of people use the term Wokescold incorrectly, and I disagree with it, especially with the Contra situation. I know a lot of my audience gets mad about this, but I criticized Contra a lot. I actually made a video that's actually gotten a pretty good, positive
I'm pretty sure I watched
response. It was a fair, constructive criticism of ContraPoints, and I presented a lot of the criticism that the Wokescolds have put forward, but I did it in good faith.
But that's the thing. These people aren't Wokescolds for the most part. Like a lot of the criticisms that were against Contra on this point were not from Wokescolds or Wokescold criticism.
I agree. A lot of wait. This is the thing. The criticism usually isn't Wokescold. Like the point that, hey, ContraPoints has said some things that are a little bit iffy when it comes to non-binary people in the past, or even presently. That is not a Wokescoldy criticism. I agree with that. But if you then go up front and say ContraPoints is a transmedicalist, when it is public information she is not a transmedicalist, she has criticized it a lot in her videos and whatnot, that is a bad faith criticism. Criticism should be ContraPoints should maybe make more of an effort to speak out. So the people who are saying ContraPoints should make an effort to speak out against true scum and transmedicalism more, that is not a Wokescold criticism. I do not think that is being a Wokescold. What I think is being a Wokescold is when people say things like ContraPoints is a transmedicalist when that is publicly untrue.
Okay. Fair, but...
I don't think most of the people that were criticizing ContraPoints are Wokescolds, by the way. I think it was like a somewhat small but loud minority.
Okay, cool. So you don't, but would you at least agree that there was a good portion of people on like BreadTube or on the left in general that would called that shit Wokescoldian, like a bunch of, like that they were just a bunch of people trying to cancel Contra, right?
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
I've even called out Vosh for like defending ContraPoints a little harder than I agree with. Me and Lexi have both done this. Me and Cyberwitch Lexi.
Okay, I mean that's good on your part, but I think that this debate is more so like fundamentally about like what your like use of Wokescold or like defining Wokescold as like an out sort of feeds into, right? So I think that like feeds into like the logic of like people like compared Wokescolds to Nazis for like the way in which they like slander and shit, right? Well, I think that the way in which you do this is kind of like not you do this, but what it feeds into is kind of equivalent to like the right-wing bootlicking, right? Because essentially these people are just like thinking that these people aren't like cancelable or just like can't have any like constructive criticism whatsoever, so they basically just like get on their knees and start sucking their boot, and anyone who tries to criticize them like whatsoever is a Wokescold or is trying to cancel Contra or whatever, right? So I think that's probably not necessarily like a good thing, right? Especially like on like the left where we're like, you and I are like anarchist, right? We're against hierarchies and shit along like that. It would seem like relatively contradictory to our beliefs to like feed into an ideology such as that.
So I want to acknowledge two things you just said there. The idea that I've made it very clear in the past. I've done it after every time I've debated anything involving Wokescolds, so I'll do it now. And I even had it as my pinned tweet on my old Twitter. Wokescolds are annoying and they are a problem, but don't ever get the enemy confused. Nazis and fascists will always be the number one enemy. Wokescolds are like mosquitoes. Fascists are like cockroaches. So yeah, that was basically my tweet. I made it very clear that I don't want the waters muddied. Wokescolds are one thing. Nazis and fascists, the fascists who are in power, that is what we need to focus on. It's just that Wokescolds get in the way of us focusing on those people. Now, when it comes to what was the second half of your point?
The second half of my point, the bootlicking point.
Yeah, the bootlicking point. Yeah. So one of my biggest criticisms that I sent over to Vosh when he was like defending ContraPoints a lot towards the end of the drama. At first, I was on ContraPoints' side, but then as the drama went by, I ended up more so criticizing her. My big criticism was in our case, we would never be okay with somebody. Like let's use PewDiePie as an example. Everybody on YouTube sucks PewDiePie's dick, right? It is social suicide to criticize PewDiePie on YouTube. You'll be mocked and shamed by the entire YouTube community, and I highly disagree with that. I don't think any creator should be outside of criticism. That has been very consistent. So whenever there's a creator like ContraPoints who is defended vehemently no matter what she does by certain people, I think that's a problem because it's a double standard that's here on the left. I made that criticism towards Vosh, and Lexi made that same criticism towards Vosh as well. We're still friends, obviously, But I made the argument, I made the point, I made the criticism in good faith rather than in bad faith.
Which again, I think that is good of you, and I will congratulate you on that. But again, I think this debate is more so about anti-Wokescold culture as a whole. Yeah, so I don't think like I don't think what you're doing in this instance. I think that you are not being like anti-Wokescold when you're doing that. I think that you're being relatively like fair with your criticism there. But again, you are like friends with people who are anti-Wokescold to a certain extent, and like you might feed into like anti-Wokescold ideology with like some of your takes, which is more so what this criticism is aimed at. So I have another question for you. Do you think like that Wokescold shouldn't be on the left, or like they don't belong on the left? Just wondering.
No, usually I would consider them on the left. So here's the thing. Most Wokescolds that I see are liberals. I've had ones that are like, they have like the hammer and sickle in their profile or in their name and stuff. But most of the time that I see Wokescolds on Twitter, they're usually like white liberals. It depends on whether or not you consider liberals to be on the left. They usually don't care much about policy, like abolishing. I don't know. A good example of this is like Christy Winters. She's a liberal. She doesn't like care about capitalism. She's anti-Bernie. Mm-hmm. She doesn't care about socialism or capitalism. She's just sort of like down for shitting on people in a very bad faith way. She literally called Shoe on Head like a. I don't even want to repeat it because it's extremely misogynistic, yet she claims to be a feminist. Like shit like that. Like they don't really care about the policy or the actual rhetoric of leftism. They just care about the aesthetic of leftism most of the time, from what I've seen. Like the people I consider Wokescold. My definition may not apply to others, but
I think your definition that you gave like originally is like a fair definition, but I don't think that's how people always use it.
Yeah, I heavily disagree with how a lot of people use the term Wokescold, especially like right wingers. But
right wingers aside, but do you not think that you feed into the way that like people on the left use it, like how you don't like it, right? With some of the things that you might do.
I don't really think so, particularly because I think I've probably been I think I'm probably one of the least drama adjacent bread tubers out there, to be completely honest with you. I think the only drama I've had is being associated with Vosh, so it's just been sort of me getting some of the flack for drama from people I'm friends with, and then I don't think I haven't really received any drama. I've kind of stayed out of it, so I don't think I've really contributed to any of this like anti-Wokescold shit. I don't know. I even said that I didn't plan on ever discussing them again after my debate. With Lord Huguenot. I said I wasn't going to talk about it again, but then you came forward and I was like, me and Leftist Lemon have been friends for a while. I'll cover it one more time.
So do you think Lord Huguenot is, or however you say it, is the leftist?
He seems to be a leftist. He advocates for socialism and stuff, and I know he's not like a class reductionist. He doesn't hate black people or minorities or anything like that. He's not like a Nazgul. But I think he's a leftist. I just think he's also very, very like out of touch with what needs to be to what's appealing and what will make the left work. Like he's a Christian. He thinks that the way to bring people to leftism is through Jesus and God. Like I don't think that's really how you're going to bring young edgelords who hang out on Pole over to the left and to sort of bread pill them. I don't know.
Well, I disagree with the Christian part too, but do you think that like they should be a left? Like, do you want them as part of the left? Yes or no?
It doesn't matter whether or not I want them as part of the left. He's part of the left. It's as simple as that. He's a leftist. Right, what makes them part of the left is what they believe. When I say, this person isn't part of the left, it's their policies and their beliefs.
See,
not whether or not I want them.
I was just wondering if you and you might have the same opinion on Vosh on this, where I've heard him say like shit like that he doesn't want like Wokescolds or like these people to be part of the left, or they aren't part of the left because X, Y reason, which I think is kind of contradictory in nature, because I think Wokescolds are like, he's criticizing Wokescolds for doing the same exact thing to a certain extent. But yeah.
From what I recall, what Vosh said is he doesn't want people on the left to be Wokescolds, not that he doesn't want them on the left. If I remember correctly.
I watch okay amount of Vosh, or at least I used to. If I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure that he said that they aren't part of the left. I forgot his reasoning, but it was something about like not like, or being like a gatekeeper and all that purity testing shit.
Okay, I'll concede that to you, because from what I remember, he just said that he doesn't want people on the left to be Wokescoldy, not that they weren't on the left. But I can't bring up any. I can't bring up every time he's talked about Wokescolds right now, so I guess we'll say okay.
Do you think that's contradictory in nature? about that criticism?
Yeah, if you said that, and that's fairly contradictory because that's kind of like gatekeeping.
Okay, fair enough.
They're mostly, yeah. I mean, from what I've seen, they're mostly libs. But even putting that aside, I mean, it can be, yeah.
Okay, so what do you think this is like coming down to? Do you think there's any points where I might be able to get you to change your mind on that we've talked so far on? Do you think there's any points that you want further elaboration on, or?
I mean, my position is probably pretty agreeable. I mean, like, I don't want to talk about left. So the big thing with Wokescolds is the way that you fight them is to ignore them and just drown them out. Like, I don't think they should just be like, I don't think they should be combated at all. Like, the way that you do it is like, if they say so if one like tweets at you accusing you, like, so if one tweeted at Vosh saying you're a rapist piece of shit and blah blah blah, what Vosh does now is he blocks them. I mute them because I want them to still maul at my tweets and stuff. I want them to be able to see what I'm doing without me having to get my notifications flooded with bullshit. So just ignore them. Don't respond. Don't give them attention because they thrive off of attention. Just let them and their 5-follower Twitter accounts just sort of fade into obscurity, drown out their bullshit with actual good leftist rhetoric, and yeah, that's what you should do. Don't give them attention, and don't overblow them as being like more than of a threat than they actually are.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's another thing. I think most people like definitely like overblow like Wokescolds. Like Wokescolds aren't really like a significant problem on the left like whatsoever. Like they seem to be blown out of proportion and given more attention, like than they otherwise would have if they weren't acknowledged.
So I understand it if you're a larger creator. So if you're ContraPoints or Vosh and you have like what ContraPoints is like 100,000 followers on Twitter. Vosh has like 15K followers on Twitter. I'm down to 500 followers on Twitter because I've been banned so damn much. Yeah. Like if you have like a lot of followers and you're just when you click that notifications button, it's nothing but negativity, nothing but people accusing you of things that aren't true. It's like, I understand if it affects you and it seems like a bigger problem to you than it is. Some people on the left don't have as big of skin. So like ContraPoints blew it a lot out of proportion than I think it really should have been. But I understand that. She's also a really sensitive person, right? And she has a much bigger audience with much more eyes on her than I do. And in the case of Vosh, it's sort of a similar thing, even though he has not as many followers as Contra does. But like, I get it. For me, it's like an occasional thing. Like a few times a week, I'll see some Wokescold on Twitter making some shit up about me. And that's one thing. But if it's like every time you click notifications, it's walls of people accusing you of being a rapist or accusing you of being a transphobe. It's like,
let's be fair. Let's be fair. I don't think there's walls of people necessarily doing that to either Contra or Vosh. Right.
Oh, with Vosh, I've seen Vosh has shown his Twitter.
Like I would guarantee
notifications on stream.
I would guarantee that it's a good like. There's a more significant amount of people that do it to Vosh, but then again, like Vosh has done a lot of more so questionable things that could possibly offend other people. Like again, with the constant like ableist rhetoric, which again I think you should talk to him about because I don't think that's probably a good thing, and he's alienating people from his audience, and he has a disability himself, so I think that he like should understand that to a certain extent. Also, like,
well, I mean, his meme is that he's autistic, and so he has the pass.
But that's
the joke that he does. Yeah,
but that's probably not like a good thing when you're using like it as a pejorative, right? When you're like asking people if it's ableist for me to even be talking to you, or like just being like, are you mentally ill because like they did something that he thinks is totally irrational? Like that's probably not a good thing. Like, can you
clarify? Well, that sure, but hold on. With that example that you just gave, like, most of the times when Vosh like asks someone, "Are you mentally ill?" he means it. Like in the case of the Nazis on Kiwi farms and stuff, he's like, "These people are actually mentally ill," and that's how the alt-right rabbit hole scoops them up.
Right, and you can see why that might be offensive to people because you're asking if every Nazi is mentally ill, which is probably not. Like, it's probably creating like a hostile environment to like people who are actually mentally ill in your community because you're kind of comparing them to a Nazi.
Well, no. It depends. Okay, so here's the thing.
Well, the way in which he does it, I would argue he is.
I don't think so. So the way that when he, like, you can say that he, you can criticize him for making ableist jokes. I completely agree. Like, yeah, that can have some bad consequences. But when in every case where he's asked or talked about, like, genuinely as like a point saying, hey, this person is mentally ill, he says it in a way that, like, the reason he brings it up. So for example, let's use the Nazi example. He did a video where he went over the threads about me and him on Kiwi farms. And, he's like, look how often these people post. Look at how many alts these people have to make it look like there's more people posting in this thread than there really are. You have to be somewhat abnormal to think that this is like acceptable behavior. Now, he doesn't claim that it's bad that they are mentally ill. He then goes on to say that mentally ill people get taken advantage of by the alt-right in order to be radicalized to this
is
bad
a bit
ideology.
of a stretch. I think the way that he does it is pretty condescending. Like the way in which
I mean,
like,
do you want?
I've seen
wait.
the clips. I've seen this.
I mean, I can't watch it on stream right now, but what I can do is send you in DMs a video where Vosh talks about this, and I would hope that you would watch it.
This might be like one of the many times that he does it, but there's several times where he like is like laughing hysterically, and then will be like, "Are you mentally ill?" or something along the lines of that, right? That seems pretty condescending and ableist in nature. Hold on, I'd have to pull up my Twitter. Give me a second.
Here, I have a video I want to DM you right now. It's from Vosh. It's from 1 month ago.
Are you sending it on Twitter or are you sending it on
Discord? There you go. It's by Vosh. It says, "Why are all these Nazis I talk to seemingly mentally ill?" And you can go over it. It's only a 19-minute video. I mean, we can't watch it right now, but we can watch it. You can watch it. And I guess we could do like a follow-up meme.
In fact, I'm pretty sure I saw that. I'm pretty sure I watched it. I'm not just talking about like this that video specifically. Like I'm talking about like when he says it on his streams. Actually,
I mean, like I said, most cases when I see him make like this actual criticism, it's usually like a good point. He's saying that Nazis and the alt-right take advantage of people who are mentally ill, which is absolutely true. They absolutely do this.
Okay, well,
people who are suicidal or going through or schizophrenic or have who are bipolar, like really good targets for the alt-right rabbit hole. This is an important topic that needs to be talked about because it's a mental health. It's like a mental health problem or a mental health risk. If people who are mentally ill are being targeted by this group, they're in danger. And there needs to be something done about it. This isn't like a criticism of those people, and it shouldn't be seen as alienating. It's like talking about a serious problem. I don't think a serious problem that exists should not be talked about if it could theoretically alienate a certain group. It's a serious problem that needs to be discussed.
Well, okay. Well, all right. Well, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on like whether or not he uses it in an ableist context until we come back and like have clips. I'll go look for clips later tonight and I'll send them to you. If you have it, and you can send me the clips that you have as well. But then we can still agree that when he says that is it ableist for me to be talking to you right now, that shit, we can agree that is ableist and in this fact like creating a hostile environment or alienating people with disabilities from the left-wing community or his community.
I'll if he said that, I think I remember him making a joke like that. Yeah, that can be seen as exclusionary to the mentally ill in his audience.
Okay. So again, I guess like my big like argument and my key argument in this whole thing is that if we're going to be like edgy and shit, I think we should do it in a way that isn't going to alienate people from our communities or our like the left in general, right? I think that we should be edgy in a way that doesn't do that. So like for example, you can like do shit that isn't homophobic or like racist or like fucking transphobic or ableist, and you can still be edgy, right? You agree to that, right? And
yeah, I've said for a long time there needs to be a balance.
I think that you'll still be able to reach these like right-wing like reactionary people, right? Because I think we can both agree that Vosh in his essence is pretty fucking edgy and that he doesn't have to do like some of the problematic shit that he does, right?
I don't know, like, so a big thing, I mean, he could probably tone it down, but at the same time, I've seen a lot of people saying, like, a shit ton of people I've seen have said that Vosh was, like, someone who pulled them out of the alt-right rabbit hole, but there does need to be a balance, and I've said this since, like, I think I've said this since our first discussion, like, all the way back in, like, May when I first started doing this, when I was like, yeah, I mean, you want to make edgy jokes and edgy humor to appeal to these people so you can kind of de-radicalize them, but also you don't want to go too far and end up disenfranchising certain groups from your community based on, like, you know, certain minority groups. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to cover before we leave? Let's
see. Did did you answer my argument that I made about like how like you or like just bread tubers in general feeding into like the anti-woke school shit might make Nazis look more presentable, and in fact like it did that to a certain extent in your
actually, I completely disagree with that. There was actually Jack Saint. Do you know who he is?
Yep, I do.
So yeah, he was going railing on Vosh on Twitter, and I saw it and I was like, well, that's pretty fucking stupid. And so then I went to Kiwi Farms and I was like scrolling through it and I saw them posting the screenshots of the thread talking about, I love how these fucking dumbasses, oh, they said a different word than dumbasses, I'll say that. And a lot of like, insert a few slurs in there that you can imagine they said a lot of N-words and stuff like that. I love how these fucking blank blanks do this and eat, and how the left eats itself.
Mm-hmm.
And they were laughing and they were happy that Jack Saint was attacking Vosh because they got a big hate boner for Vosh. So I screenshotted it and I sent it to Jack Saint, and me and him like had a short chat in DMs, and at first he hated me, but then like after we talked a little bit and I showed him this, he was like, maybe I probably should keep this not public because it does seem like the Nazis are benefiting from this like public infighting between leftist creators.
Maybe Jack Saint thinks that, but you again earlier you agreed that after your like a lot of infighting in your community happened, that Flamenco swooped in and made like a lot of friendliness with, or like made a lot of like friends, or came on good terms with a lot of them because like he was able to make himself presentable to a certain extent, right?
Yeah, but the Wokescolds aren't presentable. They're the opposite of presentable.
The Wokescolds, well, no, it's the thing is that the Wokescolds are asking you to be more presentable for whatever reason that they're saying, right?
Well, no, they don't ask. No, people who just ask you to be more presentable and ask you to do a thing. No, that's one like thing. But Wokescolds don't do that. The Wokescolds do three things. They demand you do something and then report you. They'll go back like years into your Twitter to report everything that could be TOS to get you banned. They will demand you do something and then mute you, or they will demand you do something, accuse you of doing something that you didn't do, just to spread disinformation, and then they block you.
Sure, sure. They're demanding you to be a way in which you would be more presentable to them. Yeah, sure.
I don't. Okay, all right. Okay. Like in most of the cases I've seen, they demand you to like delete your account or something, not like do a thing. They just say you're transphobic. What about the
one person that you said like, or the two people that you said like demanded you to like put pronouns in your bio? Right? They were just asking you, or not asking, but demanding that you become more presentable to them.
The pronouns thing I ended up doing. The thing is, what they did was they said, if you are if you are a bread tuber and you don't have your pronouns in your bio, you aren't a true ally, and you should delete your channel and return all your donations and Patreon money. Not, hey, maybe if you're like a cis, if you're a bread tuber and you're cis even, maybe you should put your pronouns in your bio. It's probably a good thing. And then like I responded in a way that was like somewhat hostile, or saying no, or making excuses, and they responded somewhat hostilely. That would be one thing. But like they literally just start out by saying you are already transphobic and a bad ally if you don't have. They start with an accusation rather than a request or a suggestion.
I mean, you said the second person was more.
The second person was very nice. The second person came along, and the person who came along after I've made this new account, after I got banned, and it was like, why don't you have your pronouns in your bio? And I explained it to them because they didn't just accuse me of being transphobic. I explained it and was like, the reason why I didn't have my pronouns in my bio is because I ran out of space. And then he said, oh, actually, you can just put it in your location. Did you know that? And I was like, oh, you can? And I did it, and we're cool. He followed me on Twitter.
Okay. Yeah,
I think the thing with Wokescolds are that they fit, whether you do what you want them, or what they want you to do or not. They fit so well into the they fit so well into the stereotype that was built for me when I was in the alt-right rabbit hole of an SJW. And so them doing what they do just sort of backs up what these people believe. By these people, I mean the alt-righters and the Nazis and the anti-SJW people. But I don't know. I guess we can talk. Like, you can DM me some of your things on Twitter, and or not on Twitter, on Discord. We can talk about those memes, and then we can reschedule like a follow-up debate if you want.
Okay, sounds good. Before we go, some people are asking me to ask you about this. What do you think about people calling "Suck My Opinion" a Wokescold? And you saw that tweet, right?
I actually watched Suck My Opinion's debates with Vosh, and I think Suck My Opinion's a good person. I think he does get into Wokescoldy territory, but at the same time, I wouldn't call him a Wokescold because he doesn't accuse Vosh of being racist. He doesn't accuse Vosh of being a transphobe or anything. He just says that what he says can be harmful. And when you're making arguments like that, I don't consider you a Wokescold. I just consider you to be concerned. But if he just came out and was like, yeah, Vosh is a transphobe and he hates disabled people, then I would be like, well, that's fucked. But he's just making like criticisms in good faith, it seems. So I don't know.
Yeah, you wouldn't consider me a Wokescold, would you?
No, I mean, I definitely wouldn't consider you a Wokescold. You're not. You seem like you're concerned. So I mean, that's one thing. If you came in and were like, so Pig Puncher, why are you such a fucking transphobe? That would be like one thing, but like, yeah.
Yeah, no, see,
I don't know.
See, the reason, like, I'm just here because I think that the way in which, like, because again, I think we all agree here that we want to bring in the most people to the left that we can, right?
Yeah,
it's just,
that's the goal.
Yeah, I think at certain extents we should draw the line because I think that there's a possibility for alienating people from the left already, which is, again, not a good thing if we're trying to reach our goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it does have a bit to do with like that's why now what I suggest is just ignore them. Like, don't get into Twitter arguments with them because that's just shit for the Nazis to screen cap and post on their fucking forums and say, haha, the left eating itself again. So,
speaking of, I think people in your Discord were saying Flamenco was streaming us. Not sure though.
I know, yeah. I mean, he's done that a lot. Like, he makes alts and he comes into my like Discord and he like gets in the VC and streams. Like, whenever I get in there, he'll like stream it and stuff. I don't know. He's just pretty obsessed with me. He's made like dozens of Discord accounts to message me at. He's always talking about me on Kiwi Farms. I'm living rent free in his head. It's all good.
I don't really get the rent free meme. I don't know, but
I mean, like, if it's the meme is like the idea that like somebody thinks about you so often that I don't know, if their head was like an apartment, you're living there rent free. That's the meme. Either way, it's been fun talking to you, my friend.
Yeah. I hope that we get this follow-up debate set up sometime.
Yeah, I mean, when do you want to do it? I'm streaming every day this week.
Ooh, let's see. Can I get back to you in the DMs? Because I have work throughout the week, so I'll have to see which day works best.
All right, sounds good.
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Anyone in my stream that doesn't subscribe to Pig Puncher, you can go ahead and subscribe to him over. You're streaming on YouTube now, not on Twitch anymore? For now, I guess, right?
Yeah, no, I'm streaming on YouTube now. I want to wait until
what happened there?
Oh no, I just didn't feel like streaming on Twitch. Not a lot. Like, I built my audience on YouTube, and bring your entire audience over to a whole new platform is a pain in the ass. So I was just like, fuck it.
Are you demonetized?
But
on
hey,
YouTube? Or what's?
Can you find me on? What do you mean find me on YouTube?
No, I said, are you demonetized on YouTube, or what happened?
Yeah, I got demonetized because of like some privated videos from like way before I was doing politics that I just like clipped together a few of my favorite YouTubers like videos.
Damn,
and I would post them, and I unlisted them, and I'd post them in like Discords with my friends. But this is back before I did politics, and YouTube's bots do scan your unlisted videos, and so they just like interpreted that as recycled content. So I deleted them, and now on the 27th, I'll just reapply for a YouTube partner, and hopefully they'll remonetize me.
Okay, sounds good. Hope you hope they remonetize you. I'll
yeah, they probably will. Yeah, I'll give you a shout out really quick. This is Leftist Lemon. If you want to check him out, he's on YouTube. You can go ahead and drop your link in chat if you want people to follow you too.
Thank you. I'll do that. But I'm gonna head out and let you get back to reacting to videos.
Yep.
Peace.
All right, man. Have a good one. See ya.
You too. Hello? What did y'all think? I'm curious. Hold on. I'm gonna throw up the before the stream. I don't know what to think about it. I think it went pretty good. Hello, people who came in from Pig Stream. If you all would like to join the Discord, I would be very much appreciative of that. Hold on, I'm just grabbing the link so I can drop it in Pig's chat. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna give you a role member. There we go. Okay.
We live in a society. Actually, really quick, I gotta
You said
respond
I
to
could show
some
myself
gift
out. There we
subs
go.
really quick that I got while I was debating.
Calling time? Sure.
Oh,
Let's do
fuck, I can't.
call-ins.
Damn
I
it.
am in.
Well, Comrade Courtney, I know you gifted 2 subs while I was debating.
I'm
so
in
thank you for those
my
2 gifted
voice.
subs.
Go
Sorry,
ahead
I
and go
can't
to
read
the
your
call-in queue.
message. The website chat doesn't let me scroll up more. All right. Let's see. This video is by Mr. Obvious. It's called "Normies Don't Know We Live in a Society." It's 8 minutes long. It's gonna be pretty fucking cringe. So let's see what we got here for us.
Let's close out a pig stream for now and finish up my stream. No, I don't think that. No, I don't know, Slowik. I thought it went well. I think it went fairly well. I think it went better than I expected.
Racks and bolting out, taking off with $30,000 worth of goods in just 30 seconds.
Over 100 people were shot since Friday. 14 of them are
Sorry,
dead.
someone added me in the chat. Okay. Oh, Lodge is in. Hold on. I'll pull you in, Lodge. Give me 1 second. Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Am I heard?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, you are heard.
Oh, my bad. I had a boomer moment
my
there. I
Discord
had my
ping?
volume off.
Maybe. Kazura, if you haven't joined the Discord link is in the description. I would be very appreciative if you join it.
I mean, just my words were proven right. You were too nice to them.
I was too nice? I don't think so. I don't think I was that nice. I don't think I was mean either, though. I think it was.
He took complete control of the conversation. He didn't.
I don't know if I'd agree with that entirely. I don't think
If he did, it was extremely weak. I just don't think he did enough. He, like, one of the big examples of this, and that's why I said here, right? You know, Pig was being hypocritical throughout the entire debate. He was bitching about the Nazis taking advantage of mentally ill people, right? By his own definitions, okay? He said that he wanted to take these specific people, right? These sort of edgelord people from Pole, right? He wanted to bring them to the left using edge. But he calls the Nazis doing that, taking advantage of.
Sorry, you're cutting out for me a good bit.
Am I?
You're disconnecting.
My connection's.
My connection says it's 3 bars.
Yeah, let me try disconnecting real quick here.
I'm gonna pull up the chat on my phone so I can close the tab on computer. There we go. Okay.
Better? Don't care about your stupid custom status.
You're still cutting out a little bit, but it's fine. What's up? Where?
Alright, I was saying, right, that Pig was being hypocritical, right? That he was applying different rules to these supposed Nazi types than he was applying to himself. Because Pig said that the Nazis are taking advantage of these mentally ill people, right?
Yes.
Are we in agreement on that?
I saw the argument that you made. Yes.
And would you agree that that's a good argument?
Let's see. Let me think about it.
I could restate it if
Let's
you want.
see. So you're saying that yes, I see what you're saying, but I think that his argument might still stand to a certain extent against the argument I made, because he said that they were just taking advantage of him, like they were susceptible to them, which I think isn't necessarily true, right? I think that's probably wrong. But your argument is your counter argument is just that he's being hypocritical because he's like essentially doing the same thing, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I tend to believe that mentally ill are susceptible to radical ideology. I wouldn't say that's exclusively the right wing, but they are susceptible to radical ideology. That's just been shown to be the case.
I don't know, but I honestly don't know, so I don't have anything on that.
My other point was he's also being hypocritical. In one of his complaints about the Wokescolds, he was being hypocritical as well, because he was bitching about them blocking him. I know he made a couple of jokes about that, right?
Sorry,
what? He was bitching. Oh, can we let Michael Bob Smith in? He wants to join.
If he goes to Q chat, I can pull him in.
But
hey boys. Hey. How's it going?
But no, but the point is he was bitching about these woke skull types blocking. He mentioned that a couple of times.
You're gonna have to fill me in. I just got back and I just got my phone.
The debate went
I don't think it went. I think it went fairly well. I think we. I think we came out agreeing to a certain extent at the end.
Well,
I mean, but Pig kept on shifting goalpost on. It was as Bismuth said. Pig kept on shifting his goalpost, right? And he almost had a Freudian slip there where he said it was these people are similar to SJWs, but I think that exposes that.
Well, we already know that's the mindset he's going with.
But yeah, but that's the thing, right? That's what I'm saying. Lemon didn't push him on that, and the fact that that's a form of projection. That
did you ask him about the correlation?
No, Pig brought it up. Pig brought it up independently.
The correlation between Wokescolds and.
Sorry, yeah, people are cutting out.
I forgot to DM you the points I made in general. So
it's fine.
That might be on me because
I made some arguments. The argument that I made about like equating that was like about like how the bootlicking essentially they're doing is like equivalent to like right wing bootlicking.
No, but the biggest criticism I had to them is you let Pig completely control how the debate went. Like he kept on shifting goalposts, changing what the argument was being about. Me and Bismuth both noticed this, man. It was.
Yeah, that's typically how Pig would I would think.
Yeah, but what was I gonna say here? But yeah, another thing that he was hypocritical on was he was bitching about these people blocking him on Twitter. You remember when you said that a couple times?
I don't remember him bitching about them blocking him.
Well, it's like, oh, they blocked me on Twitter, so I can't see what they say about me, or whatever. However he said it, right? I call it bitching just because I call everything people say bitching, but
I know what you're saying. I just don't remember it.
Anyway, but he said that, but then openly admitted at the end of the debate that both he just beats them. So I guess you can cut him some slack there. But he openly admitted and praised Vosh, or at least portrayed it in a positive light that Vosh blocks these people.
Yeah.
Right. Even though he had complained about that in his own right.
Mm-hmm. Can I chime in here?
Hey, Pump. Yeah, no problem. Sorry for being overtime.
Yeah, my big problem is that this isn't really good coalition building, to say the least. So it's not like it's not. These are Vosh and Pig are still relatively small channels, and they're.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing too. That you let Pig get away with sucking his own cock here. No.
With which one?
They are operating like they're a lot larger than.
About what large?
He was essentially made his argument. To quote the intellectual rice scum here, irrelevant.
Wait,
right?
What?
Pig brought that up where these people have 5 followers, so we shouldn't care about them.
Yep, that's elitist.
No, I talked about that. I talked about how like that was fucking like these people aren't like big, like they're making a bigger deal out of them.
No, but Pig brought that as a point against them, right? That
in that clip that I put up in the Discord, it said Vosh straight up says these people are leeching off the social capital of these bigger content creators.
Sorry,
He straight up says that.
I don't know what you wanted me to like. I didn't know what I should do.
You were supposed to play it to show Vosh because Vosh was being super ableist in that clip.
And
like, he called them degenerates,
and pretty much classist to an extent. I could say.
Yeah,
my problem. My bad. I mean,
I
still think I made points on. I think I made him concede points on like why Vosh is like some of Vosh's rhetoric is like ableist and to.
But another big thing too is Pig was also contradictory and called them irrelevant too because he said five people on the Twitter whatever fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
But then he also made the point that these people are flooding walls, right? So apparently there's a lot of them, but they're irrelevant,
Yeah, I tried to. I pushed back on that a little bit.
And then plus another thing, he was rushing you through the debate. If you saw, because how long was that debate?
He did have a thing scheduled for tonight, I think.
Too bad. He had a thing scheduled for tonight. It was called this debate.
The debate was probably about an hour.
Yeah, he's watching another Lemon right now.
Yeah, well, yeah. I actually kind of like Imp Lemon. I don't know. I haven't watched his stuff recently, so maybe he says something like shit.
I don't know why Pig's bothering commentary channels now. It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's a grift.
I know.
We all know it's a.
These people are edgy. Yeah, we know. they're not political or anything. It's just, at least not overtly or anything. It's just.
Yeah. Imp Lemon hasn't uploaded anything in like a month, so I don't know why Pig is talking about it.
Really?
Maybe he did something on Twitter or something. I don't know who Imp Lemon is, so.
Maybe on his podcast or something. I don't know. He wouldn't watch that. He wouldn't watch.
Oh yeah, well, Imp Lemon does have a podcast with
the State of YouTube. Yeah, right. The State of YouTube.
Yeah. He had it with the Rusty.
I don't think Jose would watch that.
What were the takes and opinions from chat while the debate was going
on?
What were the what?
Well, me pumping Bismuth were yelling at him to make points, and I'm not in Pig's Discord, so I can't say how that went.
I didn't see anyone say anything about the Discord. I didn't see people say stuff in Discord. But
when I go over it, I'll be watching the live chat to like get an idea of like how his audience was taking.
Yeah, I wasn't really able to read either of the live chats. I was mostly.
Yeah,
I read some of the Discord.
I wouldn't expect you to be able to because you were busy. You would be busy debating, so I wouldn't expect you to be doing that.
You gotta be in the mindset.
My concern is more so on how his rhetoric is affecting the people that are following him, which is why the opinions of the chat is like a big thing for me. But I'll go over that when I watch over the bit.
Another thing was that again, that's one of my big points. Also, not just the fact that he's hypocritical and the fact that by his own logic, he's taking advantage of the mentally ill as well by how he's defined them, of course. But that is it healthy for the left to have all these edgelords, right?
Have all the what?
It's just not.
Is it healthy for the left to have all these edgelords?
Edgelords? Yeah, I think I mean, this would be like about the argument that I made about like alienating and hostile communities.
Oh yeah, that's part of the ableist thing, but I think you should have brought it more.
I think I don't think like being edgy is necessarily a bad thing, but as I said, like it's the way in which you are edgy, right? Like again, don't be ableist, racist, homophobic, transphobic.
Oh yeah, no, but I mean, you brought it up in the context of Vosh and Pig specifically, but I think you should have brought it up more in the context of the fact that they are fostering an environment.
I think I made. Well, I mean, I think I tried to make the argument that him and Vosh led to like this or are leading to this anti-Wokescold ideology to a certain extent.
Like we've seen these people come into the server before, and they typically spout a type of admiration for Pig and Vosh, but they are very anti-progressive in a lot of their speeches.
I made I made arguments about the bootlicking.
Yeah. Was it another thing? We should have pushed back on him calling them liberals. That was he was actually making he was saying they weren't even real leftists. He tried to red herring it a bit there.
Yeah,
I mean, other than Christy Winters, that I think that she's the only leftist liberal. That's an example.
I don't know.
Everyone else.
I mean, if he wants to see a liberal, he could check his debate channel.
I mean, I'm of the opinion that socialisms, which is what these people really are, most of the time, because these aren't like Joe Biden types who are doing this, or a fucking Buttigieg, or these kind of people, right? Generally, at least in my experience, has been sockdoms. And I think Sogdims have a place on the left.
Well, Socknims do, but I feel like yeah. No, I feel like there's actually a good amount of like Wokescold leftists, like to an
And
extent.
also, even if because Pig was saying they don't
Well,
bring
not-
up socialism and they don't bring up this or the other, right? Some people, their issue, right? That's their issue. They're focused on specific issues. You can't be focused on everything all the time, and it's actually a very useful thing to have people who specialize in things, right? Like historians. Historians don't know all of history. Most times in history, or in anthropology, or in psychology, or in any other field, right? You specialize into a certain subsect of that field.
like Foucault does.
Yeah, exactly. Or and so this sort of idea that Pig was propagating, that because these people don't bring up socialism and economic issues, and that really what they define themselves by is their social issues, that they're not real leftist, is pretty problematic.
That's gatekeeping right there.
Yeah.
Well, I made the argument about when Vosh, like, essentially has said that woke scolds aren't real leftists, or they shouldn't be on the left. That's essentially contradictory.
Oh, Michael, you left. Oh.
He's on his phone. Probably something happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a follow.
Oh, he's in
debate,
queue.
though.
He's in the queue. Hello again.
Hey, welcome back, Michael.
I have no idea what just happened.
It's okay. The thought police are coming after you. I called the Islamist over in Trinidad to get you.
Oh, they got him.
It's probably. I think he doesn't have permissions to be in this channel. I'll just give him fucking permissions.
He was here for like a few minutes now.
True,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
weird.
Oh yeah. Okay. So okay. Another point that's actually pretty good from Slow Oak. Thank you, Slow Oak. You come in handy every once in a while here.
Yeah, he did kind of brush it aside, which isn't good.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
not. That's nothing.
What
Like,
the hell is going on?
Vosh
I give
did
you
sexually
perms,
harass.
Michael, so it'll probably let you in here now.
All right, that was weird.
Vosh did sexually harass a woman, and sexual the line between sexual harassment and sexual assault. I mean, it's not one that's that meaningful. I mean,
I think that the lines.
I would classify sexual assault as the broadest possible word for any sort of sex crime, right?
I think sexual
Kinda.
assault's. No, I would say sexual assault's a little bit different. I think that there's a pretty. I think there's a pretty. It depends on like the extent of sexual harassment, but I think that there can be a pretty big like leap between the two.
Beyond that one.
Maybe it's because it's different in different countries. Because like in Sweden, there's a high like reporting of rape, and maybe it's different criteria, I guess, or something like that. Like maybe that's the reason what happened there.
Maybe, yeah, because Bad Empeñada is from Australia and lives in Argentina, so I don't know what the laws are.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But also, again, Pig did brush aside Vosh's explicit sexual harassment. No, also on one woman, because people like to say, "Oh, this one, blah blah blah." No, Vosh, if you watch the Cold and Dusty live stream about this, okay, that's where I got this from. But that Vosh said, "I want to a person who explicitly said that she did not like him, right?
Yeah,
that she was not.
I saw the logs.
That she did not. This was in. This was in Destiny Chat that he said he wanted to fuck her anally until she prolapsed. I'm sorry, that's what
I think I saw that log.
Yeah,
people used to like post a bunch of logs.
That's weird, but I mean, it's still sexual harassment. Like I don't like. That's
the implication.
I want to say that's assault. Yes, the implication is that he wanted to assault them, but I don't think.
Yeah, the implication was no. They did. Yeah, that he because this is a person that clearly doesn't like him, right? So unless you believe in hate fucking, I don't believe in that. I think that's a bit of a myth there.
Yes,
but,
no, I agree with you that it is like definitely.
he literally threatened to rape somebody. Okay.
Yes, I agree with you that he did threaten to do that. I still think that's not the same as sexual assault though, because like he didn't actually do it, right? There's still a fine line between that. Either way, it's not good though, right?
Didn't he claim he's meant people were meant to be the girl was mentally ill or something? Didn't he make that claim?
He made what?
She was mentally ill, or something wrong with her.
They were both mentally ill. They're both autistic.
Yeah. And then let's see. In that regard, what was I going to say here? But certainly the closest thing he can do to someone online, right? Unless he, unless he
Well,
gets
okay,
himself.
it's not the closest thing that he could have done. He could have actually sent it sent unsolicited like dick pics and shit like that. Like there
I
could have been
I
worse.
would
Yeah,
personally say that threatening to rape someone's worse than
that would be
sending
straight up
dick.
assault if he did that.
I
Oh,
don't
is it
know.
that?
I would say that threatening
I
to
mean,
rape
yeah,
someone
yeah,
is
I guess
worse
that
than
is.
sending dick
So,
pics.
yeah,
I'm
I mean, I think that
e-
the dick pic shit is probably like actually sexual assault.
I mean, I don't know. Again, I would say that threatening to rape someone's worse personally.
They're both really
You know,
bad. I mean, let's not get into oppression Olympics.
yeah.
Let's just say they're both really
Yeah.
bad and condemn.
But I think with the point that Bad and Pinata was trying to make and that arguing the semantics, right, was
Yeah.
that either even if he's saying that like Vosh did it, but still what Vosh did is still extremely awful. And if that person wanted to, they could get him some jail time for that, right? May not be as much as because
Could they?
sexual assault, I believe, in the U.S. definition,
I
is
mean,
different from rape.
could they, wait?
That's
Could they get him some time for that?
I mean, he threatened to rape somebody.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, either way, the law isn't what decides our morals. So,
But yeah, of course. But I think
Yeah, otherwise every pedo sprouts into Japan clause.
well, I mean,
No, Lodge. No.
to be fair,
Bad.
to be fair, the only kind of animated CP determined to be illegal by the Supreme Court is Simpsons.
Gee, no, stop.
That's what. So there you go, kids.
well, there is a second debate that we're gonna have to reschedule. So I mean,
That's the thing. He was pushing you like so hard. It's like, no, we're not doing it. No, we're over. Right?
It seemed really weird and kind of disrespectful the way he was treating your debates.
Yeah, he was. Again, he was treating you with the mad disrespect, man.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
He was.
No, that was disrespect.
Limit. Okay, this man stood you up twice. Almost did it a third time, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And then he's trying to decide when the debate ends.
I mean,
No,
in defense, like the debate seemed to come to a standstill at that.
but that's
point.
not his call. That's like if you're the person, right, who's inconveniencing the other person, right? So Pig is inconveniencing you by having to reschedule twice, okay?
But
And almost forgetting the third time, right?
I mean, I did.
He's
ask him in the
inconvenienced
first
you.
place.
So then he, as a polite individual, right, should like wait there and be like, even when you say it's over, it's like, are you sure you're over? Like, he just was being rude. He's like, he was wanting things to be done on his terms, and that's rude, right?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think you're gonna like necessarily change my mind on this point. I don't know. The debate was kind of at a standstill at that point. I understand why he ended it.
I can get why, but like, again, if we're arguing purely on manners, right? He was being rude.
I
Because I
mean,
can get it.
Sure,
Well,
I guess.
Pig
But
generally operates in a disrespectful manner. Anyway.
I mean, I've told him as such before.
I mean, sure, I guess. But like again, like I understand why. So.
I mean, there's no reason for anyone to be rude unless they've been rude. Have a person be rude to them first, in my eyes. But but that's just me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, all right. Fair enough.
Let's see. Okay, boy. I'm sorry. I've been taking up this conversation here. Michael and Pomp, what do y'all guys say?
I don't really got much to say. I didn't get to see the stream. I just came back, and when I joined, I saw the notification. Hey, basically the thing's done. It's like, oh.
Hey, Michael, can you get your Jamie Jams off in the background there?
What do you think, Bump?
I thought you did pretty well. There's room for improvement, of course, but it's just it's like Pig's been at this for a while and he makes a living out of it while you're doing this in your off time. So it's what it is.
I mean, to me, Pig was Ben Shapiro, and you were one of the college students that Ben Shapiro goes up against.
Ben Shapiro coined Wokescolds, by the way.
Did he?
Pretty sure.
Okay.
Sorry. Like Pig was using himself rhetoric. He's trying to get the rhetorical victory because again, he kept on shifting goalposts, right?
Well,
like the goal.
I don't think it's fair to call me the college student. I think I made some fairly cohesive arguments that probably.
I mean, those college kids generally make pretty good points.
Sometimes.
I'd say the vast majority of the time they make decent points.
I don't know. I don't really
Um,
watch too much of
wow.
Shapiro
Fair
or
enough.
Crowder. I've seen some.
Wow. I mean, I think that's just the danger. I think with all these, I guess we call them dirtbag leftists now. Is what they're called.
That's what they're calling themselves.
Okay. Well, you know, I don't want to get to that, but you know, I think that's the danger in these people is that they're essentially becoming our version of Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder and Peter Jordanson and Rave Dubin.
Yeah, I guess.
It's becoming very prevalent in like the leftist streaming community now, I guess.
Well, to be fair, remember a lot of these people,
Yeah, they have,
excluding say Vosh, were ex-reactionaries.
yeah, Mike.
So they're coming from environment.
Yeah, like Pig said, they do it for a long time, and they do get caught up saying these things. So yeah, in that time span, that stuff can happen. You're gonna screw up if you do that for a living. So
Yeah. You know, I hate to pat myself on the back, but
I'll pat yourself.
no,
on the back
I'm
too.
just kidding.
I'll pat you.
I mean,
I'll
I'm
give
just
you
glad.
a pat. I'll give you a pat.
No. I wasn't gonna pat myself on the back. I was just
I'll
gonna say I'm glad that I at least tested their ideas, I guess, or their ideology to a certain extent.
You did good.
Remains to be seen, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a second debate. So. Oh. Well, y'all, I think I'm gonna end the stream. I'll probably stay in the Discord for a little bit, but I'm gonna end stream. Be ready for the second stream, y'all, or the second debate. I'll see when that gets rescheduled. Peace.
Remember, the Lemon and the Loge podcast is going to happen at some point. Be on the lookout for that. Coming to a store near you, probably a Blockbuster.
True. Michael, do you have anything you want to say?
Nothing for now, but look out. I'm gonna be.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Michael's gonna be dropping those beats with what's his face? Christ. Vert. Yeah, Vert. The Vert Michael crossover.
All right.
You heard it here first, folks.
Peace.